Uh, I like your background though. That looks cool.
Thanks.
You could just paint your wall green behind you. That would work,
I
right?
know. I thought about that too. Then I realized how cheap green paper is.
Yeah. Good point. Anything interesting you want to talk about today?
Good
I feel like we have
question.
to talk about threads, right? Like
Yeah,
it's not going to be a talk about online marketing on July 7th without mentioning threads.
right. I know. I feel like I accidentally slept through the first 3 or 4 days of threads. I'm kind of okay with it, but when I like got on yesterday a little bit, and then this morning I jumped into it, and I was like, oh, this actually feels really nice. And I was like actively thinking of like people from other social medias that I wanted to follow there. Like I wanted to
Uh-huh.
not like I have an issue right now where my different social medias are very curated to different topics.
Yeah, I'm the same
Uh,
way.
yeah, and I kind of want to just bring it all into one place where I can, I don't know, just not have to be so like scattered, I guess, and
Yeah.
curated.
It's funny because I still don't feel like I've got mine anywhere close to what I want, even though, like you said, like sometimes I'll go to Instagram for one thing and I'll go to Twitter for something completely different, and
Yep.
I get on Facebook for a whole different thing. And it would be nice for like the social to just kind of be in one place, but even
Right.
then, there's going to be different audiences that are not even audiences, not like different. I want to interact differently with different groups, it's like I have a pseudonym that I use in some groups and discords and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't necessarily want to use my face and my name in all of them, but at the same time I do want to use my real world face and name on a lot of them, and so I at least would like to have that separated. But I don't know, it'll be really interesting. What I'm
Yeah.
most interested in right now is how they even plan to do anything with the Fediverse. And
Yeah.
even if they're integrated, like is it
Totally.
actually a solution, or is it just like
I
if
know. I mean,
everyone's on one platform, that's kind of it defeats the purpose of a Fediverse, right?
kind of, but it's interesting. I don't know. Like, I think I've heard of the Fediverse years ago in passing, like reading the Wikipedia again. I was like, oh yeah, I remember something about this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think I really kind of came to understanding the potential of it when I saw Mastodon,
Right.
which is a social media I haven't even never signed up for.
Yep.
like, um,
I think I
but I,
might have an account on Mastodon, but I can't
yeah,
remember even if I do.
but like, it was kind of cool to think like, oh, they have this username at Mastodon because you could connect the social networks together, and like that, I don't know, that's interesting. Like I could have my YouTube account and my Twitter account and my Reddit account all in one place, and it's just so cool. Um,
I think that Threads could be that.
yeah,
It could be the like one place where you get at least your conversations from around the web. It'll be interesting to see like some of the biggest players and whether or not they would allow that sort of integration. Like for example, YouTube. Would YouTube
sure,
allow my YouTube comments to like show up in my Threads feed?
right. I mean, you'd think that
Reddit,
there could
would
be
they
enough, right? I mean,
maybe?
it's a chance for people to go to their platform. Like, it's a chance for people to see discussion about a YouTube video and want to go watch that.
Right.
Um, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I think everybody right now is scared. Like, this feels too good. this
Mhm.
this is too good to be true from Meta. Um, but I don't know how much alternative we have. Like, we're
That's
kind
kind of
of
how I feel. It's like, yeah,
right.
I hate Meta as much as everyone else, but
Yeah,
who's going to do it? And actually, I mean, Mastodon's been trying. What's the other one? Social,
Blue Sky
Blue Sky.
or
Yeah,
yeah,
like those two, if they can't get any momentum, and I can go to any person on the street and just be like, "Are you on Mastodon yet?" And they're like, "What's Mastodon?" Like that's not going to be the case with Threads, right? Like pretty
no,
much everyone knows about Threads
for sure.
already because of Instagram.
And exactly. And you can like instantly get a head start where like if you have any followers on Instagram or any following or you've know people through that, you instantly can follow and be followed. So
Right. Even mine, like I haven't used my Instagram much at all in
right.
years. And even still, at least I had some connections and I didn't start off just like talking to no one. right? Like I
from
signed up for
zero.
one of the others. I don't know if it was Mastodon, but I was like, I don't have anybody, and I'm not gonna like go
Yeah.
really try to wrangle my friends and get them to come sign up for this. So that's
No.
not gonna work. So like this whole network effect, I guess, like when you have the established network already, it's really, I think, in the future, the only way to get something to. I shouldn't say that. That's not. I mean, TikTok did it. I mean, they came from something that was already somewhat established, but not like really that popular.
Right.
Clubhouse made big splashes
For a minute.
for a minute, right? But like
Yeah.
still, like a lot of people were talking about it for a while. I don't know. There's been a lot of different random things that are like coming in and out, but it seems like this has staying power, even if it's just because people are just like, at least they have their account because they have an Instagram account and they can easily just like go check it out, even if they don't want to use it. I don't know. It's interesting, but as far as the Fediverse goes, like
Yeah.
what I'm thinking at the bare minimum is at least people who are self-publishing should be able to get, like, you should be able to subscribe to my blog through Threads,
Mm-hmm.
and you should be able to leave a comment while you're in the Threads app, and it should show up on my blog, and it should also show up in your feed. And even if that's the only thing it ever does, people should be excited about that, especially WordPress
Yeah.
site owners.
I know. That's huge. And WordPress already has a plugin, right?
Right. It's even like, let's see if I can pull it up. So this plugin was by Matthias Furl. I can't say his last name, but then like Automatic got on board. They're like,
Yeah.
yes, we will basically. I don't know if they bought it or what, but they're like, yes, we want an official Activity
Yeah.
Pub protocol for WordPress. Matt Mullenweg also. I mean, Tumblr's on board. I'm pretty sure
Yep.
Automatic. I don't know who owns it exactly, but they're like, yeah, we can do Activity Pub with Tumblr. I mean, it's just the whole idea that a major platform like Meta would even entertain the idea of integrating with the Fediverse says a lot
Gosh.
about the future of
Right.
social media.
Seriously.
I have no idea what's going on with my camera. It just keeps
Yeah.
restarting every few seconds.
I'm on the GitHub for ActivityPub for WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it looks like it's doing well. They've been working on it for a few years.
What's up, Simon? Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Would love to hear your thoughts on anything to do with ActivityPub and the Fediverse and how that might, like, what WordPress site owners might, how they might think about that and why it might be significant. That's what I'm trying to think through. I guess it doesn't matter to me yet until we see what Threads is going to do, because if people want to do this now, they can, right? If you're on Mastodon or if you're on any of the other things that are part of the Fediverse, then you could be following my blog and leaving comments from that account right now, and I wouldn't enable it right now, but I would definitely enable it if Threads is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I also think through, like, would we want to make our own instance? Like, would we host a server? Something like, what, I don't know what you call it exactly, but like a Mastodon instance, for example, that's just like Fuel Your Photos community, kind of like we started a Facebook group. Would we start something like that? And then in that case, if we were hosting the server, people would sign up with their account there. Like that, I don't understand exactly how, like, what would be the benefit to us on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it would.
I mean,
like, there's a lot of, we would be the we could set our own rules, be the own moderators, like, have ownership of the content and privacy settings and all of that. But what I'm saying is, I don't understand, like, in that instance where there's a hosted instance of something like Mastodon, what would Threads integrate with? I don't really know how that would interact. Anyway, we don't have to keep talking about this, but
yeah, totally.
happy to talk more about Threads if people want to. But other than that, if you have questions, if you want us to look at your website, if you any questions about SEO, about WordPress, about Cadence, those would be very welcome. But anything that's on your mind, let us know. I know we have some people watching live, so just let us know in the comments. I'm still debating on whether I want to. Oh, we got somebody. Let's see. Francine wants us to look at that, her website. Dylan, would you be able to pull that up and share your screen?
Yeah, totally.
Thread Simon says he feels it was a missed opportunity to refresh Insta rather than start a new app. I don't know. I feel like the whole reason people are so excited about it is because it's a new app.
Right.
It does feel very different than Instagram to me. It feels more like Facebook than Instagram. It feels like the early days of Facebook in some ways,
Hmm.
where it was like all about status updates. And
Yeah.
the one interesting thing that I was thinking earlier is like when we first got going with Facebook, we were coming from MySpace as far as like the biggest social platform, and MySpace kind of had this like whole thing about the bands you follow and the music you listen to and the movies that you watch, and then Facebook kind of adopted that, and so like the profile is all, I don't know, Facebook just feels cluttered and complicated, where this takes on the simplicity of Instagram, which is what I think a lot of people liked about Instagram. And the profile is just, a short bio and a website link, and then it's just your post. It's just very simple and minimal. And I think that's the point. I don't know. I feel like Instagram. I don't know how I feel about stories. Like I think Instagram stories is the only thing that's keeping, well, reels too, but I've always hated reels. To me, reels is just wish TikTok. Like it's never been a great video first platform in my experience. I've never gotten onto like good reels where I'm like, yes, this is like I'm coming to this platform to watch these. It's always just been worse than TikTok. Stories felt like it was. I mean, but that was kind of a response to Snapchat, was it, that was doing the stories first?
Hmm.
And that felt like it really took off with Instagram people, and that was sort of like the refresh of Instagram. But that doesn't, I don't know why it feels so different, because I do kind of feel like Threads is sort of like what I would want to do instead of stories, because I don't want to have to like make a visual. I don't like the forced format, and I don't like the like intentional expiration after 24 hours. Like to me, it just doesn't go with what I prefer personally. I want it to be more like a journal, and I want to be able to look back at it. I want people to be able to interact with it in a public way and not necessarily through DMs. I know they've kind of like changed that a little bit with stories, but I don't know. It feels so different, and I like it better personally. Like it feels more like my style. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think
I'm
people would
even,
be
I mean,
pissed on Instagram if they took away the way that people are using Instagram.
yeah. I think Instagram is in such a weird place for me because, like, even as a photographer and somebody that really likes that like format of like seeing the world, I have a hard time scrolling through a photo feed right now, and then it's not really that anymore. It's like scrolling through a video feed.
Yeah.
And you're right. I'd rather, if I want that, I'll jump on TikTok, and I'm really wore out on that as well. So
Yeah. All
it's
right. You
just
want to
it's
look at
nice
that
to have an
website?
yeah. Oh, I have it up.
Cool.
Uh, it, last comment on Threads. How nice
Yeah.
is it to scroll and not have it be like loud?
Right.
Like no noise. I hear silence.
I know. I do like that. That's one of the reasons I don't open TikTok most often. I'm just like, I
Yeah.
can't. I don't want to have sound right now. I'm not someone who like lives with headphones in, and so yeah, that is nice for sure.
I get yelled at if I have sound on. Okay. We just took the site live yesterday. Good job, Lily. Or good job, Francine. Um, so my first thoughts are the gallery goes a bit fast.
Yeah, that
I want
scrolling
it to
feels.
slow down. I want it to stop.
I feel
I don't know,
disoriented or something because of
for
the
sure.
auto scrolling.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with the very slow auto movement, but anything past that, I'd rather it was just static. Um, Title structure, perfect. Heading structure, I I'm okay with having the two specialties in the heading. My preference is typically to pick one. So pick the one that is most like your title.
If you're trying to rank and you don't yet rank, then I would not do two. If you're
Yeah.
already ranking for both with your homepage, then I would say it's
Yeah.
probably fine. Like because if you're ranking because of authority or you have significant authority in the space, then I would say this makes much less of a difference. But I think if you're really leaning with on page, then you should really keep it to, if you rank for newborn and not maternity, like in this case, maternity photographer being paired together, in my opinion, gives just like a little bit of preference to the words. Like to me, that's two phrases: Chicago newborn and maternity photographer.
Yep.
If the way Google's looking at it, like, can they parse it? Yes, but it's not 100% clear. You can be 100% clear by using one or the other. Um, and I would say the maternity should go on a separate page, especially newborn and maternity. It's usually relatively simple to rank for maternity with an internal page. Um,
Yep.
so, and it's really often very easy to rank for maternity with a home page, even in a market like Chicago that's going to be very crowded with newborn photographers. If you said you're already ranking there, I'm not sure where you're ranking, but I've had some people in major metros who are newborn and maternity photographers, and we decided to go with maternity for the homepage because it was a little bit easier, and they wanted to use that extra value of the homepage to rank, and then made an internal page for newborn, but it just isn't. You're not expecting it to do as well. If the competition is extremely difficult, um, you might just decide to go for the less difficult in some cases. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's like you
Yeah.
said, it's fine, but my preference would also be pick one of those.
And when we designed this theme, we made this my services section and then made landing pages for each of the services. I would do that. So like treat this like elopement landing page, like your maternity. Very similar to the homepage, but just targeting maternity photographer Chicago. I did see a few issues here. One, Corey, what do you feel about the gallery being the URL slug newborn maternity gallery and the blog being newborn photography blog?
I would not do that. I would just go with gallery and blog.
I agree. And then
Is it
this
going to
is
hurt your SEO? No.
no,
Is it
no.
is it is it going to hurt anything? Site links in some cases might be a consideration here. I don't think that's enough to cause keyword cannibalization for anything just by putting those kinds of keywords in the URLs, but some people will cannibalize. That's kind of our reason for defaulting to no, don't do that, is because a lot of times people will put their main keyword into the slugs like that, and it will be a reason for Google to potentially select that page instead of the page that you want to rank. So it's better to keep them clear. Makes it easy for site links. It makes it less likely for any sort of cannibalization. And it's just, especially for things like contact and about, uh, some crawlers just have instructions to look for the about page or the contact page at those specific URLs. Same thing for pricing. Slash pricing is probably a really good idea for that URL. I know some people want to do like investment or other things like that. I would just keep it slash pricing if at all possible. I think a lot of times it makes sense to just keep it really simple.
I would also, I saw another thing here. This is a personal pet peeve. I don't love the term as your Chicago newborn photographer. I just, whenever I see that, I either think AI wrote this because ChatGPT loves that term or that phrasing, or I think like old school SEO recommendation. Like we want to keyword stuff as much as possible. And this is a really great way to intro yourself as your main keyword. So I typically don't love that phrasing. Um, Another small, I wouldn't even say it's small, the color of these knowledge approach in your experience is very low contrast. Um, I think it's your brand color, but I think it's very hard to see. And then finally, I did find a few issues here on newborn gallery. It looks like you grab the text W born and gal for the
Mm-hmm.
newborn gallery itself, and the old NE and RY are linking to the demo landing pages.
Same on maternity.
Yeah, maternity, and that's it. So go back in and redo those links. Should be super easy. I like that you have your sitemap going. need
The
to go in
site
and
looks
fix.
really nice overall. I think it's a good
Yeah.
implementation of the template, and it shows that it like works very well with a different look. It doesn't look like the demo really. I mean, you can tell it's similar, but it looks unique.
Yeah. And then you can take out this terms and conditions if you don't have that page. And yeah, everything else here looks great. I owe you a comment right after I get done with this live, or an email. We need to go back in and fix your images from that were hosted on your old URL. That'll be a fun little easy thing to do. But yeah,
Cool.
good looking site. I think this is day 2, so good job. All right, Corey, we have a Facebook comment.
All right, here, let's read it out. Here, let's see if I can
This
put
was
it on.
Catherine Cooper.
Okay. You go over the pros and cons of making entire pages targeting. I'm going to hide it off of this. Targeting a major market versus just blog posts. For example, making a landing page for Sedona elopement photographers versus just a blog post in order to look more professional, have more links. Where should a page live? If you're a multi-state traveling photographer, you also photograph in Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, Horseshoe Bend, etc.
Yeah. That's a good question. So if it was me, I guess I like the idea of landing pages because if you are a traveling multi-state photographer, you're going to have many different locations that you target, but you're probably going to want to have more lasting content than just a single blog post for each. And it would give you the opportunity to link out from those landing pages to multiple shoots or multiple individual supporting blog posts for each location. So like in this Caldera theme where we have different services, you could simply replace that with different primary locations that you target. So this could be Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, Horseshoe Bend, Sedona. When you click on those, you'd have information about each. This one was funny because it's a category. You would have information about those specific locations. You could link to blog posts specifically from like either a tag or category for that location. It would be a much better landing page for organic search. You could use that for targeted ads. I think that would be the way to go. That's what I would recommend anyways.
Yeah, the way I think about this kind of as a rule of thumb is if I were going to be going to that place more than once, I'm going to create a page specifically for it. And if it doesn't have to be a page, it could be a post. Either way, I'm going to make one piece of content that is going to be the definitive like source for that location. If it's a place that I'm unlikely to go multiple times, and I shouldn't say just once, because it kind of defeats the purpose of like writing a post to try to rank for anything if you're only going to ever go there once, right? Like then it just doesn't make any sense to even be thinking about SEO. But if it's something that I know is not going to be like a staple location, right? So there's places that you know you want to rank for these specific venues, or in your case, you've got like a handful of locations that are, it seems like you're going to be repeating work there regularly. That makes sense to have a landing page, a cornerstone page, whatever you want to call it, that is really specifically exactly what Dylan just described for that location. A blog post, I would see it as if you went to a place like Dylan has a few that are, it's like a specific venue in San Francisco. And it's like, first of all, Dylan's probably doing like out of 15 weddings in a year, maybe 1 or 2 are in San Francisco. I'm just making this up. But like, if that's something like the case, it's like 10 years of weddings, you might do 10 weddings or something like that in San Francisco. The chances of you now, if it's like a venue then in San Francisco and that I want to specifically get booked there, then you might make a specific page, like, documenting that venue and everything about it. But otherwise, it's okay to throw it up there as like, hey, maybe someone will find me for this. And if they do, they'll be able to see what I've done there. And if they like that and we're a good fit and, everything works out, then that would be great. I'd be happy to take that client. Then a blog post is probably fine for that kind of thing, where it's just sort of like a once off. Maybe this would find to be something in the very off chance that it works out. Whereas the ones that are my staples, I'm going to definitely put more effort into creating pages for those. And I keep saying pages and posts, and I know that can be a little bit of a confusing topic for some people. They're like, wait, do you mean I have to make it a page? I just mean pages as in a piece of content. It can be a post or a page, whatever. It just depends on your platform. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any follow-ups to that. And anyone else who has questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. And if you want us to look at your website, we're happy to do that. If you want to just talk about a specific topic, we're happy to do that. Let us know. I think I got some poison ivy on my finger right here.
no.
It's really itching.
I went climbing in an area that was like pure poison oak.
Oh yeah. But sounds fun.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, is it the mosquitoes that are itching or the poison oak?
Yep. Looks like you found some cool climbing spots lately.
Yeah, they're all within like 15 or 20 minutes of my house, so I like it.
That's awesome. I have to show me some of those next time I'm out there.
I know.
Let's see. All right, so while we're waiting on questions, by the way, just repeat it one more time in case there's someone new here. If you have questions or if you'd like us to look at your website, now's a great time. Drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it or talk about whatever you have on your mind. But while we're waiting on that, going back to threads for a minute, what's the most interesting thing you've seen so far? And are there any accounts in the photography space that you think are definitely worth following right now?
That's a really good question. The Instagram / Twitter audience, like the people that I followed for a long time, are more in like the Pacific Northwesty film. I don't know, like or OG Instagram photography stuff, where like it's just like pretty photos of mountain lakes and stuff. I don't know. And those people have seemed to be very active on Threads. As soon as it was released, they were just like throwing up all their best work and like really trying to maximize the opportunity, I guess. The elopement and wedding crowd that I also somewhat follow has seemed to be slower to jump in. So yeah, I'm interested to kind of see who does well in that space. But yeah, it's been refreshing to see like more of like less commercialization of the content and the posts so far.
Yeah.
So it's like less people like just trying to like get clients and work, and more just like, hey, this is my fun hobby or interest. Or
yeah, it'll always be like that for the first few days of something
right?
like this. But even going forward, I'm at least somewhat optimistic that the idea behind the platform is to get people to engage in conversations.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to have so a lot of people talk about reach and engagement, and they're marketifying everything about social media. And I don't know. I feel like if you're focused on that specifically, then it feels forced in a lot of cases. I mean, there are certainly people and brands who are very good at driving engagement through specific tactics and methods and things like that. But if you can get people to comment because they're actually interested in talking about the thing that you're posting, then that's such organic engagement, right? Like I think that we haven't seen comments as a first-class citizen on any other social media platform. I mean, there's certain places you could say that. Is Twitter like that? Sort of, but Twitter is very influencer-y. Like it's like people who have audiences, and I've been commenting on a few people's threads who are like bringing these words in, like reach and audience and creator, and I'm like, why? I don't love that we've kind of in our society made it so that there's people who create and then there's people who consume, and those people who consume are like less than the people who create. We all
They're like
create,
NPCs,
right?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's interesting, but I think maybe this, like, at least so far, that's been the thing that's been really interesting to me, is it sort of levels the playing field a little bit, where it's not like 100% based on follower count or something like that. It's like, who's making interesting conversations? Okay, now anyone can go join in on that conversation. I've made comments to people who are, on Twitter or on Instagram. I probably never would have commented because I'd be intimidated by the amount of followers that they have, and that they have a huge audience and everyone knows them and I don't know them and they don't know me. But here it doesn't feel like that's weird. Like I'm just talking to them and they're talking to me back, and it's like, hey, we're both users here. We're not a creator and an audience member. You know what I mean?
It's so cool.
I don't know if
No,
that'll stay, but
yeah, I know. It's interesting. I was looking for John Mueller. Mueller, he's not on yet. I was hoping he would be. I wanted
yeah.
to see what he's up to. Amanda asks, "Do I have a packing list for a cycling trip where I would rent a bike?" I definitely do. I've done a few trips. I used to rent bikes on almost every wedding or elopement that I was traveling for. So I would bring my shoes and a pair of bibs and a helmet and a flat kit so I could repair a flat. And that's pretty much all I needed. I would typically just wear a t-shirt instead of a jersey, and just go have a fun little spin in every city I went to. Lake Tahoe is my favorite because you can rent the bike right in town and you have access to as much or as little riding as you'd like.
I feel like we need to have some sort of Fuel Your Photos event, or even just we just need to hang out in Lake Tahoe. I haven't been, and
Yeah.
it's like
Oh
on my
gosh.
bucket list of locations.
It's gorgeous, and you're so close to so many other pretty things like
Yep.
Yosemite and even other stuff in the Sierras. It's cool.
RMC, real estate photographer, trying to learn all this SEO stuff. That's
Cool.
awesome. And I'm glad that you've been able to catch some of our content. I see you're commenting from YouTube. That's cool. Real estate photography. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more about that if you are still here. What kind of, like, how are you currently getting work? I feel like that feels like a very networky kind of thing, like where you're going to mostly be networking with realtors and trying to make sure that they know that you're one of the people to reach out to, and you kind of have your clients who just kind of keep bringing you the same work. But I'd be curious to kind of figure out, like, what would someone be searching? Who would be the audience? I feel like, um, people who have rental properties, Airbnbs, that would be an interesting thing to maybe try to optimize for. Although I doubt someone's going and searching Google for Airbnb photographers Portland. Maybe it'd be
Yeah, they
interesting to
might.
see. You want to check?
Yeah.
But are real estate agents searching Google for photographers? Homeowners who are listing, like, for sale by owner, I feel like maybe that would make a little more sense, that they would not know who to contact and they would do a Google search. Getting a lot of Airbnb people found you on Google. Yeah, most clients are realtors.
Wow. I'll share my screen real fast. Let me look here. Share screen. There we go.
Yeah, I feel like that's another. It's a situation where it's possible that people will also just search for photographer, like, Portland photographers, if they're looking for a real estate photographer in Portland.
Totally. I feel like, man, I might put up a little test post for this. This is interesting.
That's a lot of volume for such a low difficulty.
A lot of volume. I think in larger cities this would work really well. Let's see if there are any examples. Orange County. I'm sure that is a great market for Airbnbs. Yeah, NYC has some. Atlanta.
All right.
Phoenix.
Well, saw it here.
Yeah.
If you're an Airbnb photographer, then maybe you should be looking at SEO.
Totally. I like that. Jess was not Airbnb photographer, a real estate photographer. But she had the ultimate in. Her parents had a real estate. What's the company called? Brokerage. And so she was in charge of doing all of the real estate photography for their broker or for their realtors and a few developer friends. So she would do like entire neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Super volume job. I went on a few shoots with her, and I was the person holding the flash in the corners and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting gig. Like, doing real estate photography, there's a lot of interesting marketing opportunities. It does get my mind rolling for, like, how would I try to do, especially networking in person, and really trying to, like, let people know what you do, and having really interesting or creative packages, or making it compelling to the right audience. There's so much interesting stuff to talk about there, but from an SEO perspective, it does seem quite challenging.
Yeah. I think there's a skills gap in most markets. I think you could really show off some really cool portfolio if you take the time to photograph some interesting houses like at dusk with the perfect lighting and editing, do epic composites. Yeah, you could do some fun stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like, thinking more. I wonder if you might try to target some of the terms that realtors would target. Even like, well, it depends. It depends on the city. I mean, you said you're north of New York City, but like I'm imagining, uh, if you had a portfolio of houses in a specific location, would you be able to get just regular people who are looking for houses or looking for interesting properties or sort of a showcase that somehow ranks for some real estate terms, and then just on those pages be like, by the way, if you're an agent and you want photos like these, reach out. That could be really interesting. Yeah, that's cool that you're at least getting. It sounds like if there's not a whole lot of competition, just existing in that space is a good way to get found, especially for the people searching for it. Exactly. Well, if you have questions or anything that comes to mind, we always be happy to hear from you in the Facebook group, or leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos, or join our membership if you're interested. We talk about stuff like this all the time, every week. What else we got? Who's out there watching? What questions do you have? Or do you have a website you would like for us to look at?
I need to remember to watch the spam section of our group. Every time people post their URLs, it flags it as spam and hides it when we're doing these lives.
Really?
Yeah, quite often.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Quick site. Cool. Yeah, I think you might have a great opportunity to jump on a WordPress site early and really optimize that for both user experience and SEO. And if your competition's also on, I think real estate photographers tend to be more on like platforms like Wix. You might have a leg up over them.
Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on what you're going to do. I mean, if it's just as simple as a few pages and you're just optimizing for a single term, it doesn't matter that much. But like I was just saying about all of the interesting opportunities for marketing, and if you're thinking about doing what I was saying, where you're optimizing for terms that are more real estate centric, like if that's your audience, there's some interesting content strategies you could probably adopt, and it would be just, there's so many dynamic things you could do on your site to kind of show different content to different people depending on who they are. There's so much you can do with WordPress, but it doesn't mean that it's always better. It just means that you have more flexibility, more freedom, more opportunity, and sometimes that matters.
I'd say it's almost always better.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of like, in certain situations, it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure, you don't need to put the extra brain power, cost, complexity, money, and yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. I know we've got some people here watching. You guys talk to us. What's on your mind? We can look at websites. We can answer any questions about websites or SEO. We can talk more about threads if you have opinions there. And by the way, if you're here now, our plan for these is to continue to just go live on Fridays around 4. So if you want to kind of make a mental note or write it down, we'll usually be doing this unless there's a week when one of us is out of town. We'll try to figure out a way to, I think we need like a feelyourphotos.com/live so we can kind of post our live schedule. That would be nice for people.
For sure.
And maybe even have like a little email sent up for the live so we can message people about them. That's something interesting these days. I'm like, how do people want to be notified about this kind of stuff? Because Facebook notifications don't always work, and we're also using YouTube, and I hate getting emails about that kind of thing. I would want to get like maybe a text once a week that's just like, hey, we're going live. Something like that might be nice. I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear from people on. Yeah, Facebook events. We attempted some things with the Facebook event, and it's a little bit tricky technically. Um, the events, they can work, but they can also be kind of glitchy, and streaming to the event was a little bit of an issue with this software that we're using, where we weren't able to get the comments to come through appropriately. Or like right now, I can see, like, Tanya, I can see that's you, and your profile picture comes through and your name since you allowed restream access, but that doesn't work inside the event. It's weird because the event also puts the video in the Facebook group, but somehow it's different. How complicated is changing platforms? Okay, yeah, I think I saw your question earlier. Were you the one who was switching to Show It, or what's your platform switch that you're doing?
Oh, I think it's Alina, and she's probably coming from Pixie Set.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. Coming from Pixie Set, they do not have a blog export or content export. So you're going to have to rebuild your content, but luckily that's typically like a copy and paste job. Images will need to be re-uploaded going anywhere.
What's your current site? Can you share a link?
Yeah, I think it's Outshine Elopements.
Okay.
So you'll be coming, no matter where you move, you'd be facing that difficulty. I would do it sooner rather than later, so you have fewer posts and pages to manually rebuild. I think my worst case scenario is when people know that they're going to want to move, Out West Elements. Sorry. They know that they want to move, but they put it off for a year or two, and they keep publishing and creating new work, and they get some stuff that starts ranking, and then they make the migration. I'd rather you just do it early.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at some of the content to see like how much there is to move.
Yeah, Pixie Set's just a frustrating platform for me. It could be nice. They have a very simple user experience for the webmaster, but it's just somewhat broken, in my opinion, from an SEO perspective, and they don't seem to be.
It's like 100% broken at this point.
Yeah, and they don't want to fix or.
I talked to them about it last week, by the way. I got a hold of some developers there, and a couple of things. One, the first person I talked to from support said that they talked to the developers, and they're like, no, that's how it's supposed to work. We don't want to change it. And then I was like, you do want to change it. I need to talk to someone else. Put me in touch with someone. Anyway, I ended up talking to someone who's like actually on the development team, and they're like, yeah, see what you mean. We're going to look into this and we'll let you know. But I honestly don't know that I expect to hear anything back, but hopefully they'll change at least. Right now, the issue we're talking about is you cannot change your homepage title to be anything other than the site title, which gets appended to every page.
Yeah, like so it has to be your brand.
Yeah,
it's not limiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see your point with the all-in-one aspect, Alina, but we also rant quite often about all-in-ones not being great at anything. I haven't used Pixie Set specifically for their contracts and invoices, but I think a full CRM is probably a better choice, or just using like Google Sheets and like an easier invoice contract setup like Click, or I can't remember the names, but
you can always keep using it though. Like Pixie Set for everything else except for your website is totally fine if that's what you like.
For sure. And yeah, I think that they're a great gallery. They might not be as good as PicTime, but they're good.
The blogs ranking, I think you're going to just instantly have better success on WordPress, most likely. You're right about the speed. You're just not going to be able to fix it. Don't expect to be able to fix it. I looked into it one time and I was like, how could I make this better on Pixie Set? And I tried my best, and it's like not even close. So that's if you have any sort of care about rankings, about usability, about it's just not a good website platform right now. It's not that it's impossible for it to be. I was really optimistic in the very beginning when I saw what they had. It was like almost a Squarespace clone. And I was like, oh, if they just do a few things better than Squarespace, this could
Yeah,
be huge. And then they bought, the Flex Builder and Flow themes, and the editing experience could be excellent. I mean, they're already including it, I think now, but it could be the best parts of Show It and the best parts of Squarespace. And if they really nailed it, it could even be the best parts of WordPress. Like they could have a robust content management system that allows you to mass manage and edit posts, and then everything serves static in the end. Like it's possible. Like
but
there's still room out there for someone to build the most epic platform that we haven't even seen yet for photographers, but it's not it.
big but,
Yeah.
not it. And I think their entire development philosophy is to just like go very slow
Yeah.
and to not implement too quickly, not break things,
Yeah.
just slow moving ship. And I don't see them becoming like the like front runner in the photography website space in the
No.
next 5 years.
No. There's some other players that are worth watching, but I mean, even right now, the only thing that I see that I would even consider outside of WordPress for photographers who are interested in like really being their own, like a webmaster who takes control of their website and uses it as an effective tool for the long term. The only other thing I would consider is Webflow. It's kind of cool. I mean, there's some cool things about Webflow, and it still seems to be pretty customizable, and it should be able to do most things from an SEO perspective. I know we've had some issues with it in the past, but from what I can tell, the developers are loving it, and there's a lot of control over everything there. But even still, I don't
It's
know.
fine.
Yeah.
I'd still, I'm not going to get excited until I see one site in the world on Webflow that's actually driving significant organic traffic.
Yeah.
When somebody shows me that, I will look at the platform again.
I think I knew some, but I think they've moved to something else now. There's someone
Great.
in our group who's using Webflow who loves it, and I think he's doing pretty well with SEO. We'll have to like look at the
Yeah.
numbers, but I don't think that it's a platform limitation. I think it's just there's not that many people using it.
Yeah.
All right, we've got some more people. If y'all have questions, make sure to let us know and drop them in the comments there. Let us know if you want us to look at your website. We'll stay on for a few more minutes and check out anything that people are leaving us. Alina, overall, I would say the way to do this is to set up, go ahead and sign up for Cloudways, set up a WordPress app, and start working on it a little bit at a time. Start getting used to it. I think have you seen the Caldera template that Dylan and Jess just released? If you look at something like that, I think that would be the easiest way to get started, and it would also let you, even if you're not like 100% set on that design, having that as a foundation and then building on top of it might be a good option, because then you would have like sections that you could easily change to be like what you want. So anyway, yes, getting started with something that's on a development server and then just moving things over from your live site to that, and then when it's done going live, that's the path I would take. All right, we got a website to look at, Dylan.
Nice. Let's do it. I just got distracted. One of my wedding couples got their photo that I took, two of the photos, in the newspaper, but I'm not credited.
Oh man, dang, people not giving credit to
No
their
backlink from
photographers.
that either. Okay, so Becky Langseth. Cool. Do you want to pull this one up, or do you want me to?
If you can, go ahead and do it.
Got it. Okay, let's take a peek. Seattle birth photography, and videography. Cool. Heading structure. It looks like the menu items are in heading tags. Let's check that.
Does this show it?
I haven't even looked yet. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's common for show it templates to use heading tags on the menu items. It's also really easy to fix. Basically, just go into the that site-wide canvas and select the text and change the text property so that that is. We had this discussion last time. I was telling people nav, but technically that's not correct. They shouldn't have nav on them. I would just probably go with paragraph or div or whatever option that gives you.
Yeah.
Then they won't be headings anymore.
This is even a more fun situation where it's not the main headings, or sorry, the main nav. I think it's the mobile nav
Mm,
that's in the heading tags. I see this actually quite often. People remember the desktop nav, but they forget to change this one.
yeah. Yeah, just go through both. Any of those site-wide canvases for your header, your footer, things that are not part of the content structure should not be headings.
Oh, it's not even that. Sorry, I was totally wrong. It's these photo services
Okay.
links.
Okay.
What
Yeah,
do you
so
think about having those in headings?
no headings for those. I
Don't do
mean,
that.
the only time I would have those as headings in that case would be if right above it, let's say above that you had an H2 that said services, and then each of the services was an H3. I would be okay with that, right? That makes sense to some extent. Although I still don't think I would have to look and see what the standards are for this, but I imagine that you don't want to use headings for like single
How's
line
that?
that don't have any text that belong to them, like a navigation like that. What's going on with it?
Well, it's show it stuff.
It's
Show it
showing.
stuff always. I mean, it confuses me, and I think it really confuses Google. So this one, it's like only shown in the mobile view, not the desktop. And I should get this to be 100%. And I need to check and make sure you can see what I'm seeing. I think you can see my whole screen. So it's only on only on mobile where it says maternity, newborn fresh 48. Those are in headings. I wouldn't do that, but they don't have a corresponding. The design's so much different on desktop that they don't have the corresponding headings.
Mobile or
Yeah,
on
I think
desktop now.
exactly. So I'd want that to be more similar and have the heading structure be the same.
Yeah.
Outside of that, this is a common. This is fine where your H1 heading is actually near the top of your page. Somewhat of a show it issue where that if you just look at the actual heading structure and the actual HTML, it's like midway through the page. It looks like it's not as relevant as it should be, but that's just show it not having everything in the right order. If you wanted to, you could mess with the canvas order to put this at the bottom so it shows up at the top of the HTML. That's what I would do if it was my page. Let's see. So you are in Seattle. Seattle does show up 10 times on your homepage, which is a decent number, but it's almost all at the bottom. So you have it in this H1, which is great, and then a big gap until down here from in the testimonials, and then from the blog sessions themselves, and then all over your footer. I would say your footer is going a bit hard. I don't love the tiny text, and then just trying to squeak in every outlying area for Seattle. Seattle family and birth photographer, Seattle birth photographer twice in the footer. Once again, the location, having all of those areas feels a little bit old school keyword stuffing to me. What are your thoughts, Corey? Oh, it looks like Corey's gone. we might not be live anymore. I'm not sure. Corey started this, and he might have control. Okay, so I'm still here. That's good. I messaged Corey. He might have lost internet. He's gone. All right, Becky, I'm gonna go back to your site so we can just. Oh, I can't. I can't go back to. Corey has control over who can live or share screen, so I can no longer share the screen. Corey lost power. He's out of here. So I think that'll do it for today. But thank you all so much for showing up, and we're going to be back here next Friday. We'll be here at 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern. StoryBrand, Tanya. Yeah, I think StoryBrand it's completely fine if that's how you want to do the content of your homepage or your site. There are ways to achieve that whole StoryBrand concept while still optimizing really well for SEO. I think that it's completely achievable. I don't see they don't compete too much. Awesome. Thanks, Francine. And I'll take a peek at your site when we're done with this and let you know how to get those blog posts back in order. But yeah, we'll see you next week. Feel free to post any other questions in the group and we can answer those over the weekend. And outside of that, we'll see you next Friday. Take care, everybody.